Muslims Agency. On behalf of the African Muslims Agency, we'd like to welcome every single one of you here at Aussie's Kitchen in Sandton, Johannesburg, in fundraising in honor of the One Child, One Dream movement. I would like to welcome our Kari Yaish Ali Shukran for gracing us, Kari, for making time away from your family to being here. I'd like to welcome Mr. Bassam Al-Husani, Palestinian Councillor and Deputy Head of Mission. I'd like to welcome Mr. Shuaib Qasir from DERCO, the previous South African Consul General in Jeddah. I would like to welcome our staff and volunteers. I'd like to welcome the delegations, the ladies' delegation, as well as representative of the men's delegation who are present here today. I would also like to make special welcome to a few people. One is my mom. My mom, together with my late dad, Allah grant him Jannah, started African Muslims Agency 35 years ago, alhamdulillah. And we are honored to have you here, mom. May Allah grant you His blessings, His goodness, His care, His protection, and keep you under His care always. I would also like to make a special welcome to a young girl, Liana, and her family. And as we go through the program today, you will hear about Liana. Liana, wherever you're sitting, and your family, I think we need to bring you closer this side and see your smile, because you are an inspiration to us. And we will hear from your story shortly, inshallah. Before we begin, I'd like to call upon I'd like to firstly thank you for making time for being here this morning. Those who are present and those who are watching live streaming on Salam Media on air, those who are listening or watching on Salam Media or on African Muslims Agency social media pages. I'd like to call upon Kari Yaish to please open this gathering with a Qira, inshallah.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والليل إذا يغشى والنهار إذا تجلى وما خلق الذكر والأنثى إن سعيكم لشتى فأما من أعطى واتقى وصدق بالحسنى فسنيسره لليسرى وأما من بخل واستغنى وكذب بالحسنى فسنيسره للعسرى وما يغني عنه ماله إذا تردى إن علينا للهدى وإن لنا للآخرة والأولى فأنذرتكم نارا تلظى لا يصلاها إلا الأشقى الذي كذب وتولى وسيجنبها الأتقى الذي يؤتي ماله يتزكى وما لأحد عنده من نعمة تجزى إلا ابتغاء وجه ربه الأعلى ولسوف يرضى صدق الله العظيم.
Sadaqallahu al-Azim, mashallah, Kari Yaish. You know, when Kari came up that staircase, I told him, Kari, I'm so happy to see you, because when I look at you, it's about, I just feel at peace. So Kari replied, what is profound humor, he says, because at least then your program can start, because I'm here. But Kari Yaish Ali, well-renowned, sought after Imam, Kari, reciter of Quran, teacher. And every time I hear Kari recite or speak or teach, or in any setting, any gathering, one thing, Kari, that I really admire, one thing that I find most valuable when I'm in your company, so when your words come out, Kari, it speaks to my heart. And it inspires us to be more. It inspires us to do more. Allah bless you always, and take your voice to the four corners of the world, inshallah. Shukran for being here. You've heard, as you've come along, some of you may have seen it, some of you may have missed it, but just to reiterate again, as you come up the staircase, firstly, before we begin, the sanitizers on all your tables, please, all COVID protocols, try and keep socially distanced as much as possible. Sanitize on your tables as well. As you came up the staircase, there is a gallery put together by our volunteers and delegates who are on the mission. Please go take time, if you haven't had, to go through those pictures and see and try and feel the reality of what it's like on the ground in the refugee camps. As you come through the alleyway, you'll see paintings, not the ones on the walls, but the ones on the stands. And these are paintings by children from the refugee camps. And maybe during later in the program, we'll explain each one, maybe, and the person behind it or the child behind it. So children from refugee camps who we met personally put those paintings together. And you might have seen a jar, one of the first stands. It's called the dream jar. And that dream jar is a jar that kids from the refugee camps put their dreams in. They're from the Yasmin camp in Lebanon. And they put their dreams in there, whether they want to become a doctor, an accountant, a lawyer, and simply sent it over here to South Africa to give us the opportunity to fulfill what's in their heart. So what is One Child, One Dream? You heard about the Amman School of Excellence, a school that was opened in Lebanon a few weeks ago by our delegations, alhamdulillah. A school that provides 650 children, Syrian, Palestinian refugees, and Lebanese children, formal education from kindergarten to grade 9. Why is that important? It's important because these kids do not receive an education. Not for 1 year, not for 2 years, but for maybe a decade or longer. And as we go through the program, you'll hear more about the school from the delegation. But one thing we talk about One Child, One Dream. And if you've got some pen and paper in front of you, or you've got a cell phone, or maybe write on the shirt of the person sitting in front of you, but maybe write down, what's your dream? Because you see, we know the dreams of the kids. That's not the question here today. The question mark is, what is your dream? Because the reason why you're sitting or watching live streaming on Salam Media is to connect your dream with the Almighty. And in that process, fulfill the dreams of hundreds of children in refugee camps. So I encourage you to spend time, connect, speak to the delegates, and find out more about the school and about One Child, One Dream. I would like to call upon, first I want to thank our volunteers for putting this event together. Really, the immense work and ideas, the effort they put in to put this event together, Allah bless them and their families immensely. Also want to thank Ozzy's Kitchen for allowing us to come in here and also contributing and being part of this fundraiser as well, inshallah. I want to call upon a gentleman that I've come to respect, admire, learn from. He was my headmaster in high school, gave me lots of hiding back then. But Mr. Ashraf Ganrika from Cape Town, the principal, or the owner rather, of Oracle Academy in the Western Cape, has given his entire life in education. And I look at him with admiration. I think about the thousands and thousands of children that he's imparted on, that he's helped them achieve their dreams. And one thing you know when you're in Uncle Ashraf's company, you're sure to have a laugh. But you're sure to feel motivated again. You're sure to feel reconvicted again. Your niyyahs renewed again. So we're honored to have Uncle Ashraf here together with his wife Rukhshana. Uncle Ashraf is part of the delegation in Lebanon that opened up the school a few weeks ago. So I'd like to welcome Mr. Ashraf Gantrika to share with us, inshallah. Shukran.
It's okay. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. All thanks and praises are due to Allah, by whose grace all things are made possible. I just wish to first comment on Hussein. It takes a lot of courage for a young man to call his ex-principal to come and speak at a function. So well done to you, Hussein. And any person who copies my hairstyle is a friend of mine, so there's a connection. You've got it as well, I'm glad, brother. But more importantly, I want to start off first by really thanking each and every one of you. It's a whole new meaning, right? If you can't stand the heat, stay out of the kitchen. Some of you didn't get that, I'll say it again. And so those who you did, thank you. So to take time on a hot Sunday morning to come and sit in the kitchen and listen to people is a huge sacrifice for which we are grateful. Now I promise you, and I shared this with this awesome team who put this whole place together last night, that we don't want to make this a thing of doom and gloom. Oh, shame, what are we going to do? Let me go home rather, it's hot. No, it's not like that. Because as difficult as things are, there's always hope. So I'm going to start like this. In order for dreams to come true, you must dream first. Just listen, right? In order for dreams to come true, you must dream first. Now I say that and emphasize it because fortunately, by Allah's mercy and grace, I was part of a delegation of the African Muslim Agency, came back from Lebanon 3 weeks ago, and I'm saying to you that the overriding feeling amongst children, I have no dreams. I have no future. What is the point of dreaming when none of them come true? Now these are little kids, small, the age of 7, 5 to 15. I have no dreams. So Hussein, in his eloquent introduction and the context of today, speaks about what's our dream. Before I get there, and I pray that Allah has blessed many of us with children. When we had kids, what was the dream? No, we must go to a good school, whatever that may mean. Whatever it may mean. So when a child was born, where should we live? Because maybe we need to move to an area where there's a good school so we can get the kid in. That's our reality. There's nothing to feel guilty about. That's Allah's blessing. That's a great thing, man. When the little kid says, I have no dream, I wish I was dead, there's something wrong. This is the point. So I started my little story, and every person you'll hear from got a million, right? A little kid, and there's this beautiful photograph of her. I just happened to be in the photo. So she's hanging on to me. So I'll mention a name, because I asked her and she said it's fine. So the first night I was in this camp, Al Yasamin camp. For many of us, this is just a name, and that's okay. But it's situated in a place called the Biqa Valley. And the beautiful team that partners with African Muslim Agency in Lebanon took us then to a home, as they did to many homes. And so I'm sitting. Now, every man's house is his castle, so it's their home. But I need you to understand this is plastic sheeting. So a wooden frame. You know that Hessian bags that rice comes in? But imagine that in plastic. So some of the brothers maybe would know, when you buy builder's sand or something, those sandbags that form the walls. You're sitting on the ground. The word carpet is too strong, let me say mat. So here's a mother with 4 children and the father. The father's arm had been blown away in a mortar attack in the Syrian war. And so we're sitting and chatting. And so everybody's speaking in Arabic, but alhamdulillah, they provide us with a translator, and so we're sitting and chatting. So I'm speaking to these children, as Hussein is correct, saying, my life is education. Bottom line, are you going to school? The answer is no. So this little girl, Saad, I think she's 7 years old, sits quietly, uninterested, but she's curious with the visitor. And the other thing I want to say to you, the children are very tactile, enjoy being hugged, this affirmation of affection, as it were. And so I say to Saad, as we do, okay, certainly in Cape Town, don't worry, inshallah you will go to school. So it's just a normal, I'm not going to say a flippant comment, but almost a throwaway comment. You want to give a kid appeasement and hope. Don't worry, inshallah you'll go to school. It's as if I took a fuse and lit this kid because she jumped up, wagged her finger in my face. Wallahi, this is the truth. Wagged her finger in my face and rants in Arabic. And the translator says to me, Mr. Ashraf, I said, no, tell me, what did she say? She says, do not say to me, Insha'Allah. I do not believe in Insha'Allah. Every year, I say to my mommy, I must go to school. And my mommy says, Inshallah, I don't go to school. Now you come here to my house and you also say, Inshallah. Do not say to me, Inshallah. Then she goes further and she says, I want to believe you, but I don't know if I can. She says one sentence further, which, I'll be honest, reduced me to tears. She says to me, send me to school. I will make you proud of me. She's speaking to each and every one of you. Send me to school. I will make you proud of me. I was lucky to then spend the night in the camp. Those of us, alhamdulillah, went on Hajj many years ago when we went to Mina. Those special services, we don't know what they were. You slept on the floor. Yeah? Those of us who remember? The best of times, yes? And we stayed like that. And I said to my hosts, if I was to spend the rest of my stay here in this camp, in this room, where everybody slept with their clothes on, etc., and there's this flat toilet, which is actually a hole in the ground, is okay. We had a great time because of the warmth of people, yeah? Connection of hearts. So we slept there, got up, it's crisp mornings in Lebanon now. As we came out of the tent, Saad, this little kid, was standing outside waiting for me and says to me, I want to believe you. The picture outside, don't worry about me, I'm in the picture only, but it's of Saad, who is dressed in a school uniform. The school, the Amman School of Excellence, was opened on the 27th of October, one of the proudest days in my life, because she saw me and came running in her uniform and said, I believe you now. It's nothing to do with me. Allah. It's not me, Ashraf, like I did something. No. It's what we did. But this is the plight. I gave you one last thing quickly before there are other more important people to speak. So this is a small child with a whole life. She's starting school. I made Akram 15 years old. He works in the fields, in what is called an unmanaged camp. I mean, others will explain to you, the ladies will tell you more about the difference between managed and unmanaged. 15 years old, only filled with rage. He can't read and write his name. He has a brother who is mentally challenged, was starved of oxygen in the birth process. Two other sisters who at 12 and 13 must work on the fields. There's one big point I do want to make here. We will hear very many stories, right? And so we will say, we might think to ourselves, yeah, but we've got that here. We don't. And it's not as if Africa Muslim Agency isn't involved in our country. But I do want to make some things very clear over here. When we think, and really maybe this is a generalization, I'm in Gauteng, so I could happily be wrong. But when we think squatters, it's people who move onto land, occupy it, and good luck. Certainly the case in Cape Town. It's not the case in Lebanon. When you build or move onto land, you must pay rent. there is a landlord who will demand rent to the equivalent in dollars. So if you can't pay that, great, I'll give you a discount, but your daughters must come and work on my land. So 12, 13, 14, you go and work on the land. That exposes you to the exploitation and abuse. So that, in order to be saved that, at 12, 13, 14, let's get the girls married. So I meet somebody who is 18 with 2 children, who's been widowed. He's married at 14. Meet a 25-year-old whose husband is 30 years older. Now there's nothing wrong, that might be the case here, right? Let me not pick on anybody. But this is the reality. And so as much as there is suffering, there must always be hope. For that is the nature of being Muslim. We live in the hope of Allah's mercy, Allah's forgiveness, Allah's protection, Allah's guidance. And so that these children, let me speak only about them. I want to say to you, they have a burning desire to go to school. The not going is only financial. And so we'll hear about it again. Hussein speaks about the issue of dreams, what they want to be. There are 2 careers mostly that they speak about. I want to be a doctor so I can help the other sick people in the camp. I want to be a teacher so I can help other people read. And little Ruqayya told me, in the Syrian camps on the Syrian border of Arsal, said to me, she's 12 years old. This is the language, it's stuck here. Because she actually goes to school. And this is the last point I want to come to before I introduce others. But she said to me, I want to be a lawyer. Because what is happening here to us is oppression, her word, not mine, is oppression. We are denied our human rights, so I want to fight for the rights of refugees at 12. And so this for me is ultimately the point. That they have a burning desire to go to school. They just don't have the opportunity. And so today, here, us, is an opportunity to send kids. So Amman School of Excellence, initiated, established by the African Muslims Agency, presents this hope, this light at the end of the tunnel, because we all know that when we send a child to school and equip them with literacy, numeracy, we empower them so that perhaps they can move to another source of income in terms of work. Perhaps the exploitation may be less because they're able to read. And then I see on the program, I must speak later with regards to the value of education, emotion, and I'll do that then. But my brothers and sisters, I'm saying to you, to those of us senior, we know this. And if you've been, really I'm asking yourself, if you've been the first child, perhaps in terms of the age that I look around me, the first child who went to university, I'm not going to say school. School is a given for us. The first child who went to university, stop and think, yeah? If you were the first kid in your family who went to university, it was so much easier for the siblings after you to go. That's the truth. Just think about it. All we did was to send the first one. So I need you to send the first kid in these families, because that child, either the male or the female, will grow and then teach the sibling and encourage the sibling to go. And it is that way that we will break the poverty cycle, change the trajectory of lives. The Amman School of Excellence exists. It's not a dream. It's our dream to build more than those. I want to say to you that the facilities are second to none. The quality of education is not, shame, refugees, let's just teach them alif bata. Second to none. We are talking about certification, normal exams, normal process. Our aim is to then sponsor these children that will cover tuition, school books, transport, so that there is no reason for any family then to take monies from their budget for food and then deny these little children education, as it were. So Hussein speaks about dreams. And this is the one child, one dream movement. And so as this day goes on, it's hard, man, I know it, and I value your time. Hang with some of the people who've been. Do look at some of the photographs, because you're here this morning for a reason. So I want to invite you to be part of this movement, part of this dream. Whatever small way or big way we can help, it will make a difference in our lives. And I mean this sincerely. Yeah? The joy is for the giver. The situation or that these children find themselves in is an opportunity for you and I to say, here I am. Let me help. The converse, the opposite of that is, here I am, and for you to say, so what? And that will reflect on you. The joy is here. So we chat as the morning unfolds. To share with us deeper insights, it gives me great privilege to call upon a young lady who was instrumental. And she visited Lebanon as part of the More Than a Meal campaign earlier in the year. South African activist, social activist by profession. She is an attorney that focuses on human rights. So without further ado, I call upon Ms. Nabila Mullah to share with us some experiences, please.
Assalamu alaikum. Uncle Ashraf, you know, I thought when I went to Lebanon, I seen it, I heard it, felt the emotion, spilt the tears, and that would have been the end. But hearing your story and reliving those experiences reignited all of those emotions and actually sent goosebumps down. So my name is Nabila Mullah, and I'm a human rights attorney and a volunteer at African Muslims Agency. But today I stand here before you as a voice of the oppressed. And I'm truly honored to do that. As Uncle Ashraf stated, there was a little girl on the border of Syria saying she wants to be a human rights attorney. And alhamdulillah, today I stand here grateful that I am able to make a difference and be their voice until she's able to use hers. I was a part of the ladies' delegation that embarked on a journey to Lebanon for the More Than a Meal campaign earlier this year. I went with an open mind and with no expectation, oblivious to the Lebanon crisis, its people, and the stories they held. While our mission was centered around providing food, hampers, safety, nourishment, and dignity, what became glaringly obvious is the lack of education among the children in the refugee camps and the great need for education. There are two women in particular whose stories I'd like to share with you in demonstrating the need for education and the impact of not having access to educational resources and facilities. Zainab, now 18, and one of 10 children, lives in a 3-meter by 3-meter refugee camp with 13 other family members. Zainab was married off at the tender age of 16 years old in order to alleviate a little bit of her family's financial burden. What that meant was one less mouth to feed. Unfortunately for Zainab, moving into her husband's home was no happy ever after. For 1 year, in that 3-by-3 refugee camp, Zainab not only endured poverty, but also physical abuse at the hand of the man who was supposed to maintain and protect her. Zainab fled her marital home to seek refuge in her parents' home, with dire consequences. At the age of 18, she's unable to work as she has no skills. She's also fearful of being abused and victimized if she had to leave her home by virtue of the fact that she's a divorcee. Interestingly enough, in refugee camps, divorce is still considered taboo. The second woman whose story and who resonated with me was a woman by the name of Fatima. She also reminded me of my own mother. Fatima is a Palestinian mother of 4 young boys. On visiting Fatima's home, she told us how she would sacrifice her plate of food so that she could provide schooling for her children. Fatima believed that education was the key to her children's liberation. So here's the what if. What if Zainab had an education? And ponder this with me. Zainab would not have felt like a burden to her family, and she would have been able to create a better living environment for her family and her loved ones. And post-divorce, Zainab would not have had to feel like a prisoner in her own home. She would have had a sense of purpose, and she could have been a victor of her circumstances. As an attorney, I've seen the effects of education and how it's empowered women to defeat oppression and write their own success stories. And what if Fatima's children received an education? She would not have to go to bed hungry and work for $50 a day just for her family's survival. There is wisdom in Fatima's words. Education is the key to endless opportunity. I see many parents out here, my mom's also here, and I'm sure you're all thinking about the sacrifices you've made and are making for your children, and the sacrifices that your parents have made for you to give you a better quality of life. And here's the final what if. What if the cure for cancer is in the mind of those children selected and honored to attend the Amman School of Excellence through you and African Muslims Agency? The words of Confucius read true. Education breeds confidence. Confidence breeds hope. And hope breeds peace. And isn't that what we all want? To live in a peaceful world? It is narrated from Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam that on the day of resurrection, Allah will say, "O son of Adam, I asked you for assistance in seeking knowledge, and you did not come to my aid." And the man will say, "But O Allah, O my Lord, how could I provide for you when you are the all-knowing?" And Allah will respond, "Do you not know, and did you not see my slaves in those refugee camps around the world who pleaded to you for an education? Do you not know that in helping them attain that education and get that knowledge, that you would have found me with them?" And the same will be asked about the provision of water, food, and aid to the sick. And fortunately for us, through African Muslims Agency, we are able to fulfill our purpose on this earth. And so to answer your question, why should I invest in the future of these children? I leave you with the words of Benjamin Franklin. An investment in knowledge pays the best interest. Shukran jazilan.
Is clapping not allowed in Joburg? I'm just curious. To help me, man. Don't you guys clap here too? I mean, thank you. You know, what a, mashallah, beautiful woman, erudite speaker, spoken from the heart, beautiful put together presentation. She finishes, and this is the response. No, what's wrong with you guys? Yeah. I mean, you could have clapped hands for my introduction as well, but anyway, that's another conversation. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Beautiful. Nabila, I can't quite... Okay, there we go. Heart-touching. I mean, we could stand here the entire day, isn't it, and replete, the entire audience with stories. But I do want to thank you for the succinct manner in which you summarized it, and again provide the sense of hope. So Nabila speaks about these people as in children. The young girl who had gotten married earlier, it's the truth, right? Let's get them married. As I said, one mouth less to feed, and also because of the exploitation and sexual harassment that happens on the field, comes with huge shame for the family. No fault of the female, no fault of the family, but oh no, we can't let that happen, so let's rather get you married. But there's another aspect, and I just want to highlight it. I'm not going to give a long speech about it. Moms, dads, brothers, sisters, and that's the emotional aspect of education. Too easily, right? We just think about, you got to go to school, you're going to do well, you're going to go to a good school, what we perceive to be good, you're going to get a good education, you're going to go to a good university, particularly in Cape Town, and then you are going to get a good job and earn a lot of money. And that's the sequence of things for most of us. I mean, I understand that. Not a sin or a crime. But we also know this, that education does not equal intelligence. There are clumpy people we know, and particularly in our families. Just stop and think, right? If you may be from the Indo-Pak continent, as in your great-grandparents, they came here by boat, did not know many people, but got off on a corner, put up little shop, and here we are rewarding or enjoying the rewards. Don't have to stand in shop or nothing. That's our reality. Because they send someone to school. They send someone to university. But they were highly intelligent and resilient, as these kids are. But listen to me. So when we speak about the emotional connection of children, when they don't go, they say what? We are mocked at. We are ridiculed. Other children tell us, are you from this planet for real? And this is the worst. A child more than once says to me, we are invisible people. Imagine this. When, wallah, I have 2 grown sons. Big. They're working. Allah's mercy and grace, successful in what they do. Success is measured differently, never in money. Success is always must be measured in value. That's another conversation. Don't let me get started on that. But this point, I come home, I hug and hold them close. Because listen to me, it is only by Allah's mercy and grace that you and I are here and not in the refugee camps. This is the reality. And I'm not here to guilt you. If Allah, I say it again, if Allah has blessed you with wealth, if you are planning a trip to Dubai or you're going to ski in the Alps at the end of this year, take me with and don't feel bad. I mean this sincerely. This is not a question of guilt. But the guilt must only come when you don't share of that which we have. Then we're having a problem, yeah? If you're only accumulating and then you're only living a life of success in terms of material, we have a problem. So the emotional development says to a child, I am worth something. I have self-esteem. I have self-respect. And I'm saying to you, moms and dads, that's more important than the marks. Listen to me nicely. I'm involved in education, it's been my privilege. So when I meet people like Hassan and Hussein, my ex-students, and I see what they are doing, I'm immensely proud. Because those are lives of value. And so to our parents here, if you still have children in school or perhaps going to school, don't worry as to how well they're doing. Worry about how well they are. Listen to me nicely. So how's your kid, man? What's your connection with your child? Do you have a home where your child will come and say, Mommy, Daddy, this is the problem, this is the issue, this is the help I need? Or are we just so busy that we live past each other? Worry about the child's character, then the marks. I've had too many kids, mashallah, 90% plus in every subject. How many subjects are you doing? 10. Why only 10? Because I couldn't do 12. They didn't allow it. 90% plus. Personality of a piece of wood. I'd rather want to watch paint dry than speak to this child. Rude, arrogant. Of what value? But we want to say, mashallah, my child, you wear such a short skirt, but what can we do? That is the school's responsibility. And she's got 10 A's. What the hell is that? Sorry, What on earth is that? This is the point. Emotional development of children. So for these children in the refugee camps, education is beyond only numeracy and literacy. It's about self-worth. I am something. I will not be mocked at. I will not be ridiculed. I will not be invisible because I'm on the same playing field as ESCOM. And so, when we make a difference in the lives of these children, this is what we are investing in. Not just numeracy, not just reading and writing, but in the character, the self-worth, the heart of children. So great. Now I'm going to introduce you to some of the most wonderful people I've met. And this was the ladies' delegation who went along as well to Lebanon and were present at the opening of the school. Most fundamentally awesome human beings who quite honestly make a difference in the lives of people. So how this is going to work, there's a video first. So, as I'm properly corrected because I'm wrong, there's first a video, but I'll just finish the introduction, Ashraf, otherwise you're stopping me mid-sentence. Great. Now my button is getting stuck in this thing all the time here, so okay, lovely. And so we're going to play a video, yeah? But thereafter, and I will just do the introduction again. These awesome women, they're going to come and sit in the seats over here. We're going to have a bit of a dialogue, just chat, in a sense, to each other. I'll introduce them after the video. But the most important part is your involvement. Don't just listen to them. Ask them like lots of questions and engage with them. Maybe question what did they go and do there. So what is the issue here? So as I said to you right in the beginning, right? This is not just us. Oh, shame, give us a lot of money. You can do that. Obviously, we want that. But it's hearts. Let's connect like that. So I think we're about to watch a video. Ashraf, is this the one on the value of education, bro? Okay, it's one of me. So now please pay attention. And so, I'll give you some commentary. I'm walking in the camp. I'm Ashraf Gangrika with Africa Muslim Agency, and we've just arrived here in a place called Arsal. Arsal is homed, and homed is the wrong word. I can't explain to you the situation I find myself in. And just by way of illustration, I've engaged this little one who's in grade 1 and Sidra here who is 11 years old who doesn't go to school. Do you go to school?
No.
Do you want to go to school? Why do you want to go to school?
ليه بدك تروحي على المدرسة؟
عشان أتعلم.
Layla San, do you go to school?
بتروحي على المدرسة؟ أي صف؟ صف الأول. She's in grade 1.
The confidence with which she speaks has little to do with intelligence. This is to do with self-esteem, and this is to do with meaning. Why are you not going to school?
ليه ما عم بتروحي على المدرسة؟
لأنه بنسجل كتير مدارس الماضي الفضل.
أحفظ والعلم
أوكي.
وأحب ألعب هنيك.
أوكي.
The little child is in grade 1 and says to me quite comfortably she wants to be a grade 1 teacher. She loves school, she loves her friend, she enjoys memorizing. This 11-year-old young teenager shies away, not just from the camera, but quite honestly from the entire conditions. Speaks hesitantly, is unsure about herself. This is the value of education. Help Africa Muslims Agency, with Allah's mercy and grace, help this little child and the very many others like her gain the education to gain the self-confidence, the self-esteem of a human being. Help us give meaning and purpose to her life. The point I want to make lastly before I call the ladies, the tangible, easily visible difference, yeah, between somebody who goes to school who is sponsored and someone who isn't. It's just glaring in your face. The little kid was more worried about that other little child that was trying to feed with baked beans, but she was just so comfortable. It was no big deal.
Education is there.
Okay, Zaida. And the 11-year-old, you know, when somebody is just withdrawing into themselves and saying, I don't really want to be here. Now the little person is going to school. The 11-year-old is not. So this tangible difference, and I speak to you about self-confidence, self-esteem, I think that's what we portrayed so easily over there. So I know maybe some of the starters, Yasmina, can we proceed with the rest of the discussion? Some of the starters are being this, you want me to wait for 5 minutes? And we can enjoy some of the starters and that type of thing? So please do, but nobody is allowed to leave under section 7.3 of the Leaving Act. You're not allowed to do that. And so we'll stay here for the duration. It's hot in Ozzy's kitchen. And so we'll enjoy it, and then the ladies will join us. So I'm going to give you 5 minutes to enjoy some of the tidbits and everything else. Then we'll come back. Thank you.
Only way out. If they don't have education, the only way is to go out into the fields, expose themselves to all kinds of abuse and trauma, and then eventually get married and continue that cycle of not being provided for and living in poverty.
I'm Aisha Bali, and today we are here at the Syrian border. We're not allowed to go through, but we're going to be helping the Syrian refugee camps that are on this side of the border. Those are the mountains, and Syria is right behind them. This is the Syrian refugee camp. These people are away from home, a place they can't return to, but they can literally just look over their shoulder and actually see Syria.
Lebanon is going through an economic crisis. Things have deteriorated so drastically. Imagine the Syrian refugees now having to access things like education, food, electricity, and that's why it's so important for us to drive this campaign for the School of Excellence and give these kids the opportunity for a better future.
A 13-year-old's not supposed to have hands like this. A 13-year-old's not supposed to be on the field. I mean, I'm 3 times her age. Look at my hands and her hands.
والله وجع كتير كبير. يعني فقيرين وما عندنا كل شيء ما عندنا.
شلون العالم جاي نتعلم واحنا نحس مستقبلنا ضاع وتدمرنا، يعني حتى نفكر انه ما لنا حق نفكر هيك تفكير، يعني نروح على المدرسة او نلبس ثياب جداد.
Africa Muslims Agency, through the donations of the Dignity Tents, was able to provide them housing that is solid, alhamdulillah. But their problems still continue in that she's just 14 years old and she and her sisters have to go out to the fields every day to work from morning till evening for less than $1 a day because they are the breadwinners of the family. Their father cannot work, and so they have to go out and be exposed to dangerous environments, be exposed to physical abuse, mental abuse. So this is really an appeal from the heart. Be part of the sponsorship. Be part of changing the lives of these girls and these children through sponsoring the kids through the Aman School of Excellence sponsorship.
Zaida, I need to give you a proper introduction. This can't just be Changumungu stuff. No.
Changumungu stuff, I love that.
One behind you works as well.
Okay, all the bodies, and I know you're thoroughly enjoying, right? That's only the starters. Of course, that's the fruits that we've imported to, particularly for this occasion, all the way from Zanzibar. The pineapples come from Argentina, and the grapes from, in fact, from Paarl in Cape Town. So I'm asking you, as much as you're enjoying, as you obviously deserve, some of the eats, I want you to be paying attention here onto the stage with stunning human beings who were part of the women's delegation that went to Lebanon. So I'm going to start just for easy purposes, no level of seniority or anything of that sort. On my left immediately is Mayroon, and then Aisha, and then the moderator for this is Ms. Zaida Muhammadi, who sits on the left, and then Safia over here. And the aim, moms and dads, brothers and sisters, is simply to have a discussion, to change, in a sense, almost from the monotony of one person speaking. But more important, wallah, if you have any questions or what's his name, is to direct them. And I've been at pains to make this as comfortable as possible so that anybody's opinion is as important as ours. And we're so here to sit and speak and engage. Without further ado, I'm going to hand you over to Zaida.
Assalamu alaikum, a warm welcome to everyone, and thank you, Uncle Ashraf, for taking us through this morning so beautifully. Welcome to all of you. Thank you for being here. And as Uncle Ashraf said, and I know he doesn't want me to call him Uncle Ashraf, but I am going to. As he mentioned, we're going to be having a discussion. We were the ladies who were fortunate enough to be part of the delegation that went to Lebanon very recently. It was last month. If any of you are on social media, maybe you've already seen some of the videos that were played now, some of the pictures. We've tried to share our experiences as much as possible with you online because we wanted to take you along on the journey. To follow on from that, today is a special day because we get to share with you a little bit more. And as Uncle Ashraf says, please don't feel shy. Feel free to ask us questions throughout, and hopefully we can share with you even some of what we witnessed and experienced in the camps. Each of us, you will find, each of us, the stories hit us in a different way. They were different camps, they were different families with which we broke down. Some of us were more affected by certain stories than others. So hopefully you're going to get a perspective on who you're actually assisting, because this function is all about helping the children be able to attend the Amman School of Excellence. And as Ashraf mentioned, we were able to be there at the launch. So we're going to be sharing some of that with you. So to start off, I'm going to direct a question to you, Safia, and I'm going to start off with that. Some people here might say, like, it's wonderful. Amma is doing some amazing work. Some of you here are, you've seen Amma through it all. You have seen them do the Dignity 10 projects, provide meals, provide medical assistance, provide urgent care on the ground to the refugees. And that's what we love seeing there, is that they attended to those immediate needs, right? But why education, and why specifically the Amman School of Excellence? Why was there a need to open this school? Couldn't we sponsor the children to go to the existing schools in Lebanon? Tell us more about this, Safia.
Firstly, Assalamu alaikum. And like Uncle Ashraf has mentioned, and Nabila has mentioned, and Zaida has mentioned, and I'm going to re-mention it, the importance, firstly, of having each one of you here. So it wasn't just the team that went, it was almost as if we all have been on this journey and we are all a part of this incredible initiative. I think Africa Muslims Agency have been working in Lebanon now for over 3 years, and they're definitely, the stories are redundant. Tent after tent, we are hearing stories of abuse, we're hearing stories of child labor, child marriage, and it continues. So the question was, what is our role, or what is the role of Africa Muslims Agency when it comes to not only enabling humanitarian crisis or survival of these people, but also how do we ensure that they thrive? How do we ensure that they are able to help themselves? Because essentially that is what charity, or that is what Islam teaches us. How do they thrive? How do we really make a difference? Currently, as a lot of you know, Lebanon is going through a major economic and social crisis, and this has huge implications on the education sector. So a lot of the public schools can't cope with the influx of Syrian and Palestinian refugees. Also, we need to understand that these camps are closer to the Syrian borders and the Palestinian borders, so they're far out from the school. And these refugees are already in dire circumstances, poverty. So access to the school is extremely difficult. In most cases, it's inaccessible. And Zaida, that's where the need came in. And that's why this is such a valuable project in opening a new school, in opening Amman, the School of Excellence, to cater for this need, and as well for the vulnerable and poor Lebanese children as well.
I think Safia and Meru and Aisha, I myself was quite surprised to see the educational crisis there in Lebanon. You have a sheet of paper in front of each of you, and if you turn onto the one with the white background, you'll actually see the education crisis in Lebanon. Even the local Lebanese people who do have money and who are actually would have been considered affluent 2 years ago, they themselves they're struggling to get their children into schools because there's such an education crisis. Like I know here in South Africa we complain, it's on a whole different level there in Lebanon, you cannot even imagine. So not only is the need for education so important, but the need for an actual school to cater to that because there's simply a shortage of schools. On that note, Meirun, do you want to take us through one of the stories that I know impacted all of us very, very deeply? The story of Sumaya. And Sumaya was one of the children we met in the Palestinian refugee camps. And there it became very clear to us how without education, these people will just continue in cycles of poverty and trauma. Do you want to share with us more about your experience there?
Assalamu alaikum, and thank you all for coming here this morning. Can you hear me now? Okay. Thank you all for being here this morning. Okay, so Sumaya is an eldest of 8 children? Of 8 children. She's going on 13 years old. And she's the saddest little human you've ever met. Beautiful little girl with the whole world's weight on her shoulders. She had her hands on her lap. And when I looked at her hands, God, mine looked like I was 6 years old. And hers looked like an old man's hand. I won't even say an old woman's hand, an old man's hand, somebody that has been working in the fields their whole life. Her nails were chopped short. Her skin was, yes, her hands were washed, don't get me wrong, but they were stained red. I don't know what's going to take to get that stain out of her hands, because this girl goes to work every day. She works in the fields. Her dad has a very bad back problem. He was in some kind of one of the what was happening there. He was part of that, and he hurt his back very badly. And so for him to work hard labor is difficult. Yes, he does work. Don't get me wrong. The man is not sitting the whole day. But what he's earning is nothing compared to what they need. So she leaves every day and works in the fields. So I don't know if they have the videos of that, but the land in front of their home is all farms. And they live there, but not like our squatters they just live where they want to and they don't pay. And that's the rule of the land. No, here you pay. So you pay for your little plot every month. So besides having to put food on the table, you need to pay rent. So this little girl goes every day to work. And her sister has now started that too, and she's 11. And so we said to her, but okay, if you could leave this, what do you dream about being? I mean, we all ask our children that. Come on, if you meet your niece or your nephew after a long time, you live in a different country, you go, what's your dreams when you grow up? What are you going to be? This girl said, no, dreams are not for us. And we're like, what? Maybe we didn't get that right. I mean, interpretation and all of that. And she said, dreams are not for people like us. We don't dream. It was, and no smile on her face, no smirk, no nothing. She was just there. And then we said to her, okay, but what if we can send you to school? Like, we'll send you to school. And she said, and then who feeds the children? I mean, it's really, that's not for her to worry about. But she was worried, what about my sisters and brothers? Where do they get food from? I'll go to school and then what? So no, I can go to school. I have to bring money here. And then we came in with food parcels. AMA brought in food parcels. This girl moved back. A 13-year-old, a 12, 13-year-old moves away so that her siblings can come front and take out food. And not even like, okay, now my turn kind of thing. No. Let them have. And we had to call her front and say, but like, this is for you too. And they were like sharing and passing to each other. And you know what? They were getting those big rotis that they make that side, that AMA supplies them. Thanks to the generosity of all you beautiful people, they get that roti that they eat every day. That, and oh my word, Melrose cheese. It was like eat day for them. Imagine that. And so we decided, no, there's something wrong here. This is not the way a girl of that age behaves. And so they brought the BU dignity packs in. So those are dignity packs that are gifted to young girls, sanitary pads, shampoos, stuff that we take for granted, but stuff they won't buy. I mean, seriously, who goes and buys shampoo when we don't have food? Okay? So they brought one of that in, and they opened it, and now two of the ladies, Safia was part of that, they opened it up and they're showing it to her, and they showed her shampoo, and they said, for your hair. And so she moved away her scarf, and her hair was hard like rock. Oh my God. You know, when I say if I felt it, it was crunchy, it was hard. And so they opened it up and they said to her, no, like, this is for you, you're gonna wash your hair with this, and, you know, like trying to entice her. And that was the first time there was like a little, you know, that glimmer in her eyes. And then they said to her, do you want us to like show you? And she said, yeah, and like through an interpreter, they said, yeah, wash it for her. That must have been the most important. I don't think that girl will forget that day in her entire life. And this is shampoo. I mean, not like you went for a Brazilian blowout and you go like, wow. This was just shampoo. So honestly, when I have asked people, please sponsor, no amount is too small, I meant it. Inshallah, these children will get sponsors for education, and they will get needy family donations so that they'll be able to get food in, so this little girl won't have to worry, if I'm in school, then who feeds my family? And then inshallah, with that, she'll be able to get an education. You can see she's someone, I can tell you, if that girl gets an education, she's going to teach her brothers and sisters, because she is so concerned about them. It's like as though she's the parent. At that age, can one of you tell me, my 12-year-old can run my home? I'll tell you, my 21-year-old can run my home. No, it's the truth. So I ask you today, open your pockets to these children. The only way we're going to get them out of the cycle. Wonderful, alhamdulillah, we send them food every month, we make sure their tents are good. We need that. Till these children can do it for themselves. And the only way they're going to do it for themselves is when they are educated. I'll take one more second of your time. Can you remember a time when you had a father or an uncle who was very intelligent, and they were 8 children, and so then they decided, okay, this one's the smart one, and so we're going to send him to become a doctor somewhere. And then a lot of them went to Dublin and to London, and they became doctors, and they came back, and they looked after their families, and these families prospered through one person. Everyone sacrificed for one person. So our sacrifice, our giving, and honestly, zakat is not a sacrifice. It's what we're supposed to do as Muslims. It's 2.5%, really, and these children are zakatable. So you pay for their education, and you can look at yourself and know, you can look in the mirror and say, you know what, shukr alhamdulillah, I have made my little difference in the world. And those children will know you by name. They will make dua for you by name. You'll be shocked. You know, we think, I sponsored the child, whatever. They know you.
So, Meron, you've touched on such important points there. And Aisha, I'm going to come to you soon because I know you have special stories to share as well, so I'm coming to you soon. I think the story that Meron told us more about Sumaya, she's representative of hundreds, if not thousands, of other children, of other little girls. And this is their reality. I mean, what do? If there's no food, you go out and you work so that no one goes to bed hungry. So you can see when Amma comes in and when you sponsor a child to go to a Mount School of Excellence, it's not something I think that was amazing for me and all of us to witness there was the care and concern that the team on the ground there in Lebanon takes. It's not just money thrown at these people. It's not just, oh, come to school, you've been sponsored. No, there's a follow through. They know these. I was shocked. I was actually very, very shocked about this. I was not expecting this. They know the children. They know their families. They know their parents. They know their problems. When we spoke to Sumaya, it wasn't just poverty that was troubling her. You could see the light was gone out of her eyes. And as someone who works in the psychosocial field, I can tell you there are deep traumas there as well. So education is really that first step to getting her, as Ashraf said, a feeling of dignity, her and many other children, a feeling that they don't have to allow themselves to go into the fields, be exploited for less than $1 a day, deal with inappropriate advances from people who have authority over them. If that's not oppression, I don't know what is. And all of us have a responsibility to do something about that. Coming to you, Aisha, I want to hear now one of the success stories, because all our hearts are a little bit aching here. So I want to hear one of the success stories from you. And we have a few that I can think of. There's Aman, there's Yaman, there's Malik, who is a live wire, mashallah. People have seen the before, but tell us a little bit. We saw the after now. We saw the intervention of AMA, the donations, the sponsorship, the impact of education on them. Tell me what you felt seeing these children, some of these success stories. How did that impact you? Tell us about it. How does education impact them?
Okay. Assalamu alaikum. I just want to tell you all, I've left my heart in Lebanon. What I saw there, every day, every minute, it got worse and worse and worse. But today I'm going to tell you a story about Zaina. We got the opportunity to go to Zaina's house. I want you to all close your eyes and just picture, everything's dark. That was Zaina's house. It was damp. It smelled like a cave. And there's 3 little children sitting there every day in the darkness. Closer, sorry. They're sitting there in darkness. Their mom goes out to work. She gets a pittance. She comes back, feeds her kids with whatever they have. So we asked Zaina, why don't you go out to play? She said she can't. When she and her brothers go out to play, they smell food. And they are so hungry. They don't have money for education. They have nothing. I don't know if you've all watched Zaina's video where she says when she gets rich, all she wants is peanuts. That's what she wants. But these kids dream of an education. Well, thanks to everybody with AMA, everyone that has donated, they have changed Zaina's life. Zaina and her family. We helped Zaina and her family move out of that place. A few of us, that was their belongings. We just put things in sheets, bags, and that's how she moved. We moved.
There actually weren't even any bags. It was just like a big sheet.
Your bed sheet.
Chunked
Yeah,
everything
it was
in
just
and they
like
tied
big
it up.
bundles of things, and not even much. Just a little. They have nothing in their house. You must know that house smelled like a cave. I don't know if any of you have been to a cave and how it smells. And it's dark. The only light in that house was the cameraman's light. Anyway, we moved them. And thanks to the sponsorship, now Zaina has, and her brothers, have a home, a beautiful apartment. She has her own bedroom. She has the moms being provided with. She doesn't have to go to work. And they're going to school. And that's the story of Zaina. Thanks to everybody here who have all donated.
And I think that applause is for all the sponsors. And you told it so beautifully, Aisha. That's for all the sponsors. Whoever donated towards AMA, you made that possible. And, you know, when I went into Zaina's home, I was just so moved because the care and consideration the team had taken in choosing colors that she liked and things that she liked, and her brother loved Spider-Man, so it was somebody had donated a Spider-Man bag. It's all those little touches. So when you are donating and making a sponsorship, like I'm saying, it's not just money thrown at them, you know. It's done with such dignity. It's done with such care. There's a human aspect.
Yeah.
So what we've seen with Africa Muslims Agency, that they really take the time. They have what we call field workers. And these are people that are part of the team in Lebanon, and obviously through Africa and Afghanistan the same. And these people are planted in these camps, and they do the assessments. They build relationships with the family. And you'll often hear them actually, they've never met you, they've never met a South African donor, but they'll often mention a South African donor's name when we're entering a tent, saying this child is sponsored by Mr. Mohammed or Ibrahim or Fatima or so-and-so from South Africa. And that just shows you the level of detail, the meticulous detail that goes on to ensuring that your donation from here is seen, the entire process is seen, every detail is taken care of, and then progress. And obviously these things take time. I mean, we have to understand it's miles away, it's situated in remote areas, so it takes 2 to 3 months. You know, at times we've got to track the family, you've got to find the kid, but the work is definitely being done, and it's something we've witnessed over and over, alhamdulillah.
Yeah, on that note, when you do sponsor a child, and it costs 16,000 to sponsor a child, or you can break it down in monthly payments, you will receive, inshallah, one of these kinds of profiles, and it's a really lovely, beautifully put together one where you get all the details of your child, you'll get annual progress reports. But as Safiya mentioned, it does take a couple of months, and that's actually a good thing, because this is not a haphazard process. There's a very meticulous thing, and I think that really stood out for me when I went there, and I'm going to ask you guys, I'm going to ask the ladies to share their experience of how their perception of Amma actually shifted when they went there, seeing the behind the scenes of how the team worked. For me personally, you know, I was sharing this morning to Hussein, I was telling him, you know, before I went on the trip, you know, I told Hussein and Imran, you know, I'll do what I can, I'm not making big promises, but what I didn't tell them, and I'm going to share with you guys, is at the back of my mind, I thought, what if I go there and I find out things that I'm not approving of, and now I have to, you know, I made all these promises and all of that. And so it was kind of to safeguard my own reputation, right? Because how do I then stand in, you know, I've always had that thing, I've been involved in promoting charities, but at the back of my mind, I always feel, what if I'm questionable in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? You know, someone's zakah, it's one thing my zakah, yes, I worry about that, but other people's zakah and so on. And I've always had that resistance when I give my zakah, I'm more, you know, I'm very worried about it. Going there, I told Hussein this, now I'm on board. I'm on board 110%, because I have seen it, I've seen the behind the scenes, I have seen how this Lebanese team runs, I have seen how Amma treats these people with such dignity. There is care, there is compassion. This is not just a refugee, this is a person, this is a child, it's someone's daughter, someone's niece. And that moved me enough to say, okay, I'm on board, guys, tell me what you need from me. So Meron and Aisha, please share with us, what was your experience? Meron, maybe you can start off. What was your experience of, how did you find the Amma team on the ground?
Okay, so the lady in charge on that side, we call her Mama Juju. Her name is Jihan. I'm sure a lot of you have seen her videos. She is a mother to all these children. When we walk into the camp, they literally come running, and she'll go like, how's your mom? Your mom wasn't well, she had a flu, is she okay? Your dad's leg was sore, is he okay? So they don't just go there when we're there and like kind of give us a show. They're there permanently. That's what they do all the time. And these children, like Safiya was saying just now, when you adopt a child, they tell the child, okay, like Fatima adopted you, and then they call you Mama Fatima. And they actually say, Mama Fatima, like you know Mama Fatima? I mean, how many Mama Fatimas, alhamdulillah, have adopted? But this trip, we were very lucky. We had lots of our donors on the side that received their files previously and knew what their children liked and asked us, please, can you, while you're there, can you organize it for us? The team on that side are fantastic. I tell you, they got us, one of my donors wanted a bicycle for the child. She went out and she made sure she got a bike, and she got one of these stunt bikes because the boy is like 12 years old, you know, with the pegs and all of that. And he was over the moon. Another little girl makes the most beautiful arts and crafts. We got that for her. And the young lady that painted the artworks that are displayed here, one of our lovely donors on the site sent a whole lot of art kits, and she wants to be a designer, so she sent her designer stencils and all of that. Someone sent a pilot's little uniform. I mean, whatever it is, there's that personal touch, and these children are so happy. And their parents, the du'as they send all of you, they send it from their heart. It's not just like we'll say, oh, make dua for me, and we say, inshallah, Ameen, and you forget about it. These people, every day when they see their children leaving for school, they see them in their uniforms, you are in their du'as. The Amma team on that side, I wish we could have had them here today. These are young people. Yeah, Mama Jihan is older, but she has a young team. Lebanese, not refugees, these are all Lebanese people. Beautiful, beautiful young people that have their whole lives ahead of them, that give their time because they care as much as we do. So it's not just all on paper, just money sent out and forgotten about. These people are cared for every day, personally.
Thank you, Meron. Aisha?
Okay. I want to tell you a little about the Amma team. When I went there, personally, I thought there's nobody working on that side, but I was quite shocked. They are dedicated youngsters. They go out of the way. Besides the camps, they go into South Lebanon, North Lebanon, everywhere. They are everywhere. They go into places where you wouldn't even think of. We drove one day through like, what were those, hot houses or somewhere. And they find in remote places, families that are struggling and have nothing. They don't even know where the next meal is coming from. But these dedicated workers go out there. I mean, they took us all. And then they follow up on all this. So if your money is going to Lebanon, you must know there's people down there that are following up and seeing that the money is, so if you're giving your zakat, let's say for instance you're giving your zakat, like now I know, I would give every last cent to Amma because they follow up and they see that your money is going to that person, to the needy, or whatever has to be done, they will do everything for you.
I think over and over we know about Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and the care and concern he showed for the poor and the orphans and the needy. But he wasn't just there for them financially, he was there for them emotionally. You hear about how he would, touch their heads and talk to them and play with them. And Amma reflects that. And when we were there, we also got to be part of that, alhamdulillah. And you see how the team does that. And for me, that's what it's really about, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will question us, yes, did we pay our zakat? Did we give the underprivileged? But also more than that, was there care? Was there compassion? And the emotional aspect cannot be underplayed. Yes, when you help a person get a meal or get an education, yes, of course you have fulfilled a massive physical need. But what about the emotional need? They know somewhere all the way in South Africa, they call it Janub Afrique, somewhere all the way in Janub Afrique, Baba Imran or Baba Ahmed or Baba Muhammad or Mama Fatima, she cared enough about me. This person who has never met me in person cared enough about me to pull out of her own pocket, to send me her money, to make sure I am educated, to find out about me, to follow up on the team. And I think that sums it up all. It's about the financial, but it's also about the emotional and the psychological. Sure. So with that, we're going to close off, inshallah. May Allah grant us all the acceptance to be part of this, because, at the end of the day, Allah is the provider. He will make sure that these 650 children are provided for, but will we be the ones who are fortunate enough to be part of that? Do we have that acceptance from Him? And I pray that each and every one of us has some small or large part to play in this, inshallah. So to close off, let us know, Safiya, how does someone, people are asking, how do you sponsor? How do they go about it? Can you just close off for us on that?
First, intention. So we're all sitting here today, and I know we've all come with an intention. And the cost of the sponsorship or the investment, it really is an investment that you're making, is 16,000 Rand. And that can be done via africamuslimsagency.co.za, as well as through one of the links if you're on social media.
EFT, direct deposit.
EFT, yes, direct
PayPal,
deposit.
by owls. Yes. Anyway, we'll make it happen.
It can
if
be
you
done.
Want to donate.
Yeah, it can be done. And then as well, you can also do a debit order. So you can do the 16,000 Rand, but you can do it over months. You can, while we're eating and while we're engaging, you can engage with us and maybe chat to us about that, and we can give you more information on that. On that, I also want to close off. Please, afterwards, after you've enjoyed the rest of this meal, feel free to come and approach us. We are here. No question is a dumb question. Ask us any questions. We're here to help in whichever way we can. We hope to get to speak to some of you, to chat to some of you, inshallah.
Thank you again. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward you for being here this morning, and may He accept you to continue to do good deeds, because that is one of the signs of acceptance, is the continuation. Assalamu alaikum. The good news is, if anyone has any questions, please feel free. Let me just tell you, it's not easy for these ladies to be up here. Okay, it's not easy. It is, they have put themselves out there. It's not easy if you're not used to public speaking, to being here, but they have done it for the sake of these children. And I must say, please give them a round of applause. They've done an amazing job, mashallah. But by the same token, please now, you guys also ask any questions, because how do you know? Maybe you ask a question, it's what someone else had in mind, and that will prompt them to be the donor, and you will have the sawab in that. Isn't that beautiful? So please go ahead and ask the questions.
Ladies, assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
Nelson Mandela said that there can be no keener revelation of a society's soul than its treatment of its children. And consistent with it, I think, if the father of our nation saw the valiant work that you and Aisha and all this wonderful delegation did in conjunction with Amma, I think the father of our nation would be very, very proud. So commendations to you all for that. My question is that the 16,000, when I did work with Stop Hunger Now, which feeds the bellies of orphan school children in South Africa, one of the things that we found was that at the University of Johannesburg, the number one reason for students dropping out of university was simply because they didn't have food in their bellies. Now imagine this is at home. So the question is that the 16,000, does it include food for these little children?
This is such a great question. I'm really glad you asked that, because this is the balance between immediate today needs versus long-term future needs, and both are important, but at the same time, as you're saying, you cannot sacrifice, it's well and good to say go to school, but you're going on an empty belly every day. So to answer that question, remember that Amma is checking up on each of the families and each of the children. Like whilst I was there, I was obviously choosing children for myself and people that I know back home, and whatever it is, they were getting a chance to donate to those children and sponsor them. But when I went back to the AMA team, they would say, okay, no, so-and-so, they still need a needy family sponsorship. So let's start off with that first, and then we'll go into education sponsorship. So that is taken into consideration. And again, that can only come from the AMA team there locally being very, very engaged with the family. So when I went, I was shocked. Like when you ask them, this child, are they sponsored? They'll say, oh no, this child, she's one of 6 others. And none of the other girls, they're all older, they all work out in the field. She'll be the only one who gets, and they've had a needy family sponsorship. So they're ready for an education sponsorship. These things are, alhamdulillah, ideally we want it to be for everyone immediately. But the reality is that first those immediate needs need to be met. So the needy child sponsorships are prioritized, and that means that the needy child sponsorship caters for the whole family. So the whole family then has access to food and their basics. And once that is covered, then one of the children is a candidate for Amman School of Excellence. Hope that answers your question.
So for the benefit of everyone else, it's Nabila in the corner.
Oh.
What is the curricula at the school? So I see it's from kindergarten to grade 9, but what is the curricula or the syllabus that the school covers?
Okay, I was going to pass the mic for the next question, but I have to take this one because this is very close to my heart. So whilst we were at the launch of the school and there were the jumping castles and it was all very exciting for those of you who saw it, I kind of crept around looking for the educators. And I ended up speaking to quite a few of them, alhamdulillah. And I have to say, I was very, very surprised at the level of education and understanding of those who are in charge of the curriculum and so on. I met with Muhammad Abdul Aziz. There are other, curriculum advisors as well. They take into consideration a lot of aspects that we wouldn't even think about. So one of the things that they shared with me is that when you're educating refugee children, it's not like when you're educating here where it's just a normal curriculum. You also have to take in consideration that being born in and growing up in a refugee camp is you don't learn the social skills that you need to in order to live in a regular world. It's a very, very different thing, you know, certain social norms and so on. So they're actually going to be taking all of that into consideration in their curriculum. They have specially designed, Muhammad Abdul Aziz has a PhD in education. He's been around the world. He's been to Malaysia twice. He's even gone here, I think, to Soweto, and he did some work there as well, to find out what's the best way to serve those refugee children. So the entire curriculum is tailor-made for them. And I personally don't know anywhere else in the world where that would be possible. So, and meeting those educators, they're so excited to bring those children on. So there's a lot of personal investment, and there's that emotional connection as well. So I hope that answers your question. Yeah.
Assalamu alaikum. I would just like to find out, a woman's delegation that went out, okay? What is the preparation, cost factor, emotional, spiritual, and social skills that are regarded for a group of women that are going together with different personalities, different temperaments, different all of these kind of things that you put together? How do you get on? Do you have a special program that preps you for this kind of thing before you go?
So what Africa Muslims Agency does before we leave, we engage in briefings with the team, and they fill us, you know, in terms of the information needed for when we arrive and the scenes and the camps that we are going to experience. That takes care of that. Yes, we've never met before, a lot of us, and we're going on this delegation, you know, it's an individual experience, but it comes back to your intention, and then again, what is our role? So we're all playing the same role. And that is, how can we manage the situations in these camps? Mm-hmm. What difference can we make? Mm-hmm. And how can we drive these campaigns? Okay. And even whilst we're there, we're attending briefings and debriefings constantly and daily, in and out, and that's taken care of.
And interpersonal relationships between you women, was it excellent? Was it very good? Did you get together? Did you get on with each other?
Okay, so remember,
because you come from diverse backgrounds.
Yes, absolutely.
Everybody is different, so it's a very important question, I think, for when people are going anywhere together.
Yes.
It makes big, big, big difference.
Okay, so none of us knew each other. Everyone couldn't believe that Aisha and I haven't met before because we are soul sisters. But yes, when you get there, you need to realize, like Sophia said, you're here for a purpose. So you need to put your own ego aside. It's not about you. We came here to do something. And remember, everybody has their strengths. I might be good chatting one-on-one, but get me in front of a camera and I start stuttering.
No one is believing you because you're doing so well.
I love children, and then you'll get somebody else that's better with other people, all right? Old people, children, leave me with them anywhere. I do lots of work at the old age home here in Indonesia because I love old people. So it's that kind of thing. So everybody has what they're good at. And I feel respect is very important. Give everybody their turn, understand people are different. And alhamdulillah, we were very lucky. We chose to have our own rooms at night because let's be honest, some nights even your husband gets on your nerves. So you need your space. So we had that. It gave us time to debrief. Agreed? Right? So we were lucky with that. But shukranallah, we were a team that were there for each other. We prepped each other up. You know, like, no, like when I go, I can't do this. I can't talk to people. Let me play with the children. Like, let me talk to the refugees. Let me play with the children. Don't put me in front of the camera to speak to South Africans. And then I'd get the ladies saying, no, do your thing. Just do what you're doing. And I liked it best when there wasn't a camera put directly in front of me. If I was just caught in the moment, I just feel it works better.
You've answered that beautifully, Meroon. And I think it all comes down to when you're coming for a common purpose, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala facilitates, and of course the AMA team gives us tremendous support. And please, all of you, please remember us in your du'as that Allah accepts our intentions and refines them as well, and uses all of us for good work. On that note, as much as we thank you so much for your questions, and we would love to continue, but unfortunately we do have, or fortunately, we do have now another part of the program, the auction and so on. But if you still have any questions, please feel free, come over, ask it to us. We're happy to answer you. Jazakallah khair to all of you again.
Is that one? Yeah. No, it's fine now. No, I don't need it. You going to be here? Great stuff. So can we just give them another big round of applause, please? Magical. And as Zada was saying, you know, the questions are ultra important. And I just want to maybe just make one last comment on the last question that the sister over here asked. That issue of diversity of group, obviously it's a big thing. But again, the answer is that if we engage with each other, just in life generally, right? You're fired. And if we did that with respect, it's okay to differ. We don't need to all think alike. We don't need to all do the same or be the same. But if we engage with respect and we understand people's boundaries and feelings, then it's no problem at all. Absolutely. Great stuff. And so, you know, just before I carry on, I mean, the ladies did so well. It's so easy to see this as Lebanon. It's so easy to see this as in the refugee camps, the Syrian refugees. So after I'd spoken and introduced the ladies and their session, so I went to go and sit down. And Hassan, I asked his permission, so he said to me, so not Hassan Chunara, the brother in front of here, this is Hassan. So he comes to me, you know, to say some sweet, kind words, which I appreciate. But he says, I want to tell you my story. He says, I had no hope. I did not know what to do. And then Imran Chunara, African Muslim Agency, he helped me at university. Forget the name of the individual, it's just the help. And Hassan over here has completed a master's in operational management. And he's thinking of a PhD. Now this is real. What guy? And so the notion of, oh, you only want to help people overseas, etc. One, this debunks that. And secondly, it says to us that this is what is possible if we simply take the time out to say we're going to make this difference. And so now we come to the opportunity to say to each other, as Zaidas and the beautiful lady so eloquently spoke about, a chance to give. And so Hassan, Hussein and myself are here with a distinct purpose, and that's to relieve you of some of your hard-earned money that you will give so willingly. Because the bottom line is this. Thank you. Could you tell Aisha again? I am principal. Aisha, sit down and keep quiet, please. Ma'am, I will listen to you with what's his name. No, knock yourself out.
If there's anybody that you guys were blessed to have with you on the trip, I promise you it was Aish. I believe you. But you have to believe me.
Right. But Aisha, can you now keep quiet, please? You're distracting me. So now, listen to me nicely, okay? Guys, I tell you one quick story. I was walking in that camp where you saw the video of myself. It's the camps of Arsal. It's terrible. Heartbreaking. And so we were going to go to different homes. But there was a lady, an elderly lady, a grandmother, carrying a kid of 9. And she was walking, you know, in inverted commas, that, listen, you weren't really supposed to speak to us, so it's okay. So I'm asking the team with me, the cameraman and the translator, what does she want? No, she wants us to come to their hut. And they said, no, we're not coming. You know, we just carried on. And this lady in the heat, she's carrying this 9-year-old child, and she's walking after us. And she keeps on saying then in the Arabic, and my Arabic is non-existent, come to my home. Not taking any credit, I then said to the persons with me, my host, please let's go to a place. You don't offend anybody, man. What's it going to do to us? Get a long story short, right? So this lady is the granny of this 9-year-old Abdul Karim, who is deprived again of oxygen in the birth process, but deserted by the mother. His biological mother said, I can't cope with this, and left the kid with the granny. And she was thrilled to take his legs, because he's now in no control of his limbs or anything. And to say to me, Ashraf, look, if you went for 1 or 2 physiotherapy sessions, look, he can fold his legs. But this is the point that I want to come to. The granny's name is Raja. My Arabic translator tells us there could be Arabic scholars in the audience. And she says to me, Mr. Ashraf, her name means one who asks Allah for help. And this lady says, I've been asking. Not me, the individual Ashraf, that's unimportant, yeah? And then help came via Allah. So Raja, he or she who turns to Allah, we are turning to you. These kids are turning to you. And so again, the choice is simple. Be part of a movement, be part of a change, be part of a dream. It's simple. Wallahi, I'm conscious of tough times that people are having at different levels. But the Prophet's hadith is this, that no person, no wealth of a person will diminish when we give in charity. In fact, the opposite is true. Allah will return you tenfold. So it's easy, right? In tough times, there's another wave coming, whatever the case may be, we better hold on to our money. It's a natural response. You're denying a dream. And as we were saying in the introduction an hour ago, it's your dream. Don't deny yourself. So this is where we're going to be at. 2 things quickly we're saying before I ask you to take over. In the jar in front of you, with the beautiful pencil crayons, there are dreams. Now before I get there, on the tree as we came in, those are originals. We went on the previous trip, Alia and friends went off and they asked the children, either write or draw your dream. Many of them couldn't write, and so they just drew. And so you must interpret. There'll be a person with a stethoscope. What's the dream? I want to be a doctor. Another person, a beautiful kid, Yamani wants to be a nasheed artist. Another pound, you'll see there is a chalkboard. He wants to be a teacher, etc., etc. And so I'm asking you this. Put your hand into the jar. When I'm done speaking, put your hand into the jar. We've brought to you pledge forms. Interpret your picture. You'll see maybe a kid on a boat. He literally wants to be a sailor. There's another one, we know the story of the boy who wants to be a pilot. You put your hand into the dream jar of these children. Take out 1 sheet, there are 10, there's one for everyone at the table. There is a pledge form. You interpret. You write up that pledge and feel it here. Don't worry about here. Worry here. If there is, your heart is not moved by the diagram, then you ask Allah, as Zaida tells us, the Prophet's example, if you have a hard heart, touch the head of an orphan. So if you are not moved by it, there is something wrong with your heart. And then we have some pieces drawn, and we'll speak about the artists in the sense that we want to share, that it can adorn your beautiful homes and offices as well. Hussein, please.
Shukran for that. And this, I think, is the most important part. And I just want to share one story. And I think we call it stories and experiences. We call it moments in time. But it's only because of Allah's design. When I sat in the camp, when I sat in the tent with her mother and the 3 kids, and this family suffers from thalassemia, a blood condition. If they do not receive medical attention, they will die. The mother hasn't seen her husband for more than a month. He's lost in a hospital somewhere. The mother said, I thought many times to kill my children and myself. She said, I thought many times to burn them alive in my tent. I knew at that moment what I had on me was more than what they have. And I knew at that moment, I am not one to judge. Because Allah brought me there for me. And for you, why did my Allah bring me there to sit in that tent? To hear the mother said she's 22 years old. She got married at 16 years old, and she says, I thought many times, at what point will a mother get to say that or think that for her kids? You see this put together, you see the artists, you see the sketches, you see the dream jars in every single table. There's dreams of children that will change their lives and their families' lives forever. And the delegation so eloquently shared their experiences. Now it's a time to act, because we will be answerable. Because my Allah will ask me, I showed you that tent. What did you do? What did we do? How are we going to answer? So whatever you can, donate, because we don't want the mothers in the camps to think of killing their children.
Hussein, I want to show you. This jar, and things, maybe pickles or whatever else comes in it. This jar is legit. It comes from the Biqa Valley. Most likely the Yasameen camp. It's a jar. It's a future. This jar is not South African. We went around and asked the kids of this camp to write your dreams and draw your dreams and put this in our dream jar. What you have in front of you are the replicas, the duplicates of this. We want to keep these originals. And so this is real. This is a kid drawing to you here in Gauteng, South Africa, and saying, I want to be a teacher, a sailor, a nasheed artist, a qari. I have a dream. And so this jar is part for us, in a sense, of the archives of Amma's work. But it cannot simply be in this jar for always. As the ladies explained to us, that dreams can come true. I started my talk with that. We must first dream, and then they can come true. Without the dream, there is no truth. But with your participation, there is the truth. And so this is the real jar. These are the original pics of children from the Biqa Valley, the Syrian refugee children. I ask you now to reach into the dream jar on your table, find the pledge form, and whatever you can manage. The amount is between you and your Lord. More importantly, the barakah is between you and your Lord. To write 0 is also between you and your Lord. And that, quite honestly, to not be moved is something else. Hussein, whilst we are doing that, can we move maybe to Abir, or shall we do Liana first? Okay.
So this painting here is by Abir. Abir is a Syrian refugee child in the Biqa Valley in Lebanon. Abir, when we met her family, Abir had a medical condition with her eyesight. Her eyesight was deteriorating by the day. She was literally losing her eyesight. And we sat with this family, and Abir shared her story. And please, of course.
You know, it was in fact somebody who was one of the most dynamic persons, but always behind the scenes. It was Yasmin who shared this with me. So it's easy, right? Listen to me nicely. So this is just a nice drawing. But I spoke and I asked Yasmin to tell me about this person, Abir. She was 17 years old, and Yasmin and some of the other ladies, they were sitting in the camp. Now the camps in the homes was dark, man. There's not even electricity, switch a light on, etc. And then it was time for Salah, and then they noticed this young girl, Abir. She wanted to move to another area in the room to perform. To perform her Salah, though, she needed assistance. And so Yasmin and the others, they saw this girl being assisted. And only then did they realize that perhaps something was amiss. That perhaps there is this child is ailing of sorts. And upon inquiring from the mother, her eyesight was fast degenerating. Her eyesight was failing. And the mom says it's not something we realized until, quite honestly, she was bumping into things, couldn't see too well at school, etc., etc. There is always hope. I tell you this, right? So listen to me nicely. Not singling out Yasmin, she was the last person who'd want that. But upon the return, this is the point, the generosity of South Africans via Africa Muslims Agency, money was raised, sent off to our strategic partner. Abir was taken in to see an ophthalmologist who performed the surgery, and by Allah's mercy and grace has now better eyesight, and as she says, than what she had before she even started going blind. So this beautiful girl, with eyesight restored, has now created all of these beautiful paintings. Now we know, alhamdulillah, there are people in our family, ultra or artistic, etc. Just stop and think, man. This little kid on the verge of blindness, with very little equipment, very few instruments, very, very, very few resources. Where's she going to get the paint from? She's going to get the brushes from, etc. And so these are one of a kind that carry with a story of hope, a story of resilience, a story of survival. And you can own this and take it home with you today and say, this was painted by Abir, a 17-year-old Syrian refugee who was going blind. But by the generosity of people in South Africa and Allah's grace, her sight has been restored. And so we're going to go and do this via an auction. And so if at this time you want to say hello to your friend by waving to them across the table, be very careful. I put on my special specs today, and I will see you. We do have credit for card facilities. You can pledge and say, Ashraf, I'll give you R1 million, I'll pay next week, no problem. I'm just saying if you wanted to, right? I just want to come to this particular painting over here. Does anybody see it? This is the night sky, yeah? You all see it? Once I pick it up, Hussein, can you pick this up for me quickly and show this to people? I just want to tell you one thing quickly. Too many times, lift it up, Hussein, like straight up. Too many times, whether it was in all parts of the camp, in different camps, this is a painting that resonates with me. A child says, in the night time I go outside and I look up to the stars, and I'm waiting for a romantic ending, right, to that sentence. I look up to the stars and I say, oh Allah, why did you put me here? So when I saw this picture, and this is the first time I seen it. Yeah, yesterday I came. First time I see it. It's something that resonates. Oh Allah, she looks to the skies, looks to the heavens, to the Lord of the heavens and the earth, and says, why did you here? And so I'll be honest with you. Obviously, guys, the aim, as our beautiful ladies tell us, is to raise as much money as we can to send children to the Amman School of Excellence. The legitimacy of the organization, the track record, the traction in terms of where the money goes, wallahi, it is tangible. I have seen kids in school that AMA sponsors. I have seen orphans that AMA sponsors compared to those who don't. It is open for scrutiny, and as our ladies are witnesses, anybody else can come and see as well. The sister here asks important questions about group dynamics, etc. So if you are interested, then please come. And wallahi, I know this, you will come back with the same, if not better experiences. Nothing to hide. So without further ado, we're saying, which one shall we do first? Shall we go pink? That's blue, but anyway, great, thank you. Who am I to argue? Colorblind person that I am. And so here we go. So this is Abir, yeah? In a beautiful, ladies and gentlemen, this is a beautiful blue vase. A vase, of course, is a container. A container holds everything. It holds water, dreams. It contains who we are. If we, though, tilt it over, we allow it to spill. And so it moves us from blindness to light. And so who will make for me an opening bid on Abir's beautiful vase? Oh, come now, please, man. Who said 800? I'm grateful, my dear. Tasneem, I am grateful to your 800. Now, if somebody can add a 0 to the 800, then we're really talking. How about on this side? Yes. 1,000. Great stuff. Now, sorry? 5,000. Sorry, 5 right at the back. Great stuff. Yeah, I see you. That's. Yes, Hassan, I know 5. It comes after 4, before 6. Are you guys playing with? Oh, yeah. Yes, dear. 6,000. Come on, guys. 7. Okay, this is, okay. Hassan, all right, I know this means 7, man. You think I'm stupid? I taught you. Thank you, Hassan. Okay, here's my good man. He's got such a beautiful name. Mashallah, Ashraf, carry on, my boy. Sorry. Didn't you say 10? You sure? 8. I have 8. Sir, just go to... Yes, sir, the man in front of... 8. Okay, the guy behind you, then 9. Let's go. 10. 10. 11. 12. Can somebody really, and I'm not being difficult, right? I've got beautiful paintings. And I understand, wallahi, your hearts are all in the right way. Don't be intimidated by the amount. But at least, guys, I want to sell a painting for nothing less than a sponsorship. I mean it sincerely. So that you take ownership of the painting and the kid. As the lady said to us, we're going to send you the report. You're going to be in touch with your kid. And so, sir, I'm asking you, I know I'm going to give you the opportunity. You started first. Do you think we can go 16? Lovely. So can we go 7? Just go 20, man. Then I can give it to you straight, my bro. Just give me 20, man. 20? Give him a big, big round of applause, please. Yeah. Sorry, just for record, I have your name. Sorry, they know you. Hassan, what's the man's name? You sorted it out? Okay, Alfred Hitchcock. Where are you now, Hussein? Who's this? Okay. Okay. So I have here, it's an amazing thing. So this is again obviously a slightly younger version of a beautiful painting, and I saw it and I thought to myself, this is a younger child, obviously. And so it reflects, paintings that our kids would do, isn't it? But you just stop and think, where your Syrian kid refugee is going to see a giraffe? Stop and think, yeah? Don't worry about the food, man. The food won't be there. Giraffe. So we have this in our offices, in our boardrooms, blah, blah, blah. Lovely cartoon-like pics, yeah? Of our children. Sham over here, Syria. Syrian, beautiful child. Now I do have an opening, but no joke, seriously, of 16. I do have that. Money in the bank. I am the opening it to everyone to let's go beyond 16. So if I have 17.
Uncle Ashraf, it goes without saying that the giraffe is mine. But I challenge anyone to outbid me on that giraffe.
Go for it.
Anyone who knows me will know that I'm a giraffe.
Oh, you're a giraffe fan? Okay. Yes. I have 20. But you got 17. Great stuff. So Nabila, you going to take this on, or where are you at, dear?
No, we need to do more than that.
No,
Let's go for a second child, guys.
Yeah.
You know what giraffes stand for? It's stand tall, aim high, and get spotted. So the person that has given the 17, I'm challenging you to make it a child sponsorship. Mine was a child sponsorship for a child for the year for school. My challenge to you is make it a second sponsorship.
20? I'm on 20. Shall we just do this quick, because now we're getting hungry now? 30. 25. I owe the man the painting. Sir, please give him a big round of applause. 20,000 rand.
Shukran.
Great. Are you happy with that, Nabila? Are you happy to let it go?
I'm not ecstatic. I would have liked the sponsorship, but alhamdulillah, it's okay.
Yeah, we're getting there. Great. So no, she's going to come over here. Zada, you bring her, or Alia? Come on, darling. Liana, you walk up the stage. Allow me to honor you. Great. I want to introduce you, please, please. First, give your hands, put your hands together and welcome Miss Liana Mate. Yay. So she's going to tell you the story herself, right? But it's going to be quick. And so we're about to auction it. She's going to do herself a piece of her art. She's very much, alhamdulillah, South African and all of that stuff. But as a connection that she will speak to you about with a Tasneem, a Syrian refugee in the refugee camps. So with her is Alia, and Alia is going to facilitate this for us.
Assalamu alaikum. So we were very, very excited to have Liana here with us today because her story is really a story of how sometimes Allah brings people together in the most incredible ways. So when our delegation went to visit one of the camps on this trip, there was a little girl who saw them, and she came up to them, and she came up to one of the members, and she said, I know who you are because of that sign on your jacket, the Amma logo. And she said, there was a group who came to us some time back wearing the same clothing, and they brought Eid cards for all the kids in the camp. And I have kept that card that was given to me. So the ladies went with her, to a tent to see what was she talking about. And she told them her story, and her story was that she was a 14-year-old girl, but she has a blood disorder, so she looks very little. She looks like Liana herself, like she's 8 or 9 years old. And because of her disorder, she has to stay in her tent a lot. She can't go out, so she doesn't have many friends. And so she said when she received this card and this letter, it changed her life because she felt that somebody somewhere in the world cared enough about her to write her this letter. And she kept that card and she wrote a reply. And she said, I didn't know how this reply was going to get back to her, but I had faith. I knew that one day Allah was going to take this letter and it was going to go back to the girl who wrote it to me. And so our delegation took that letter and we brought it back. And the Eid cards were actually done with another organization who just gave it to Amma to go and distribute at the camp. So we contacted them and we asked them, can you help us trace this girl, Liana? And the message went around, and alhamdulillah, we found Liana. And we managed to set up a video call for Tasneem to meet her friend from all the way across the world. And besides this letter and changing Tasneem's life, Liana was amazing enough to paint us something for us to auction off today to do even more to help those children. So I think we really, really need to support her. We need to thank her. And we just want to ask Liana, when you wrote that card, did you ever think that you were going to speak to the person that you sent it to one day?
No.
And were you very, very excited when you finally got to meet her?
Yes.
So please, everyone, can we have special, special support for Liana's painting today?
Do this together. Great. So you want to explain to her why we did this particular painting?
I did this because these were the countries that were involved in the Amman School of Excellence.
Great stuff. So if you look at the painting, obviously there's the maps of Lebanon, Palestine, South Africa, and Syria. And how long did it take you to do this, Liana?
It took me 1 day.
Great stuff. So 1 day of hard work. So the value of such a masterpiece, you'd say what? 50,000 rand?
No.
How much?
50.
50. Great. So there we are. Words from the artist. Now this is going to be very, very famous, right? This thing is going to be in your wall. It says here by Liana Mater, done November 2021. It's like hot off the press. We can't really touch it because the oil might still smudge on the painting, etc., etc. So somebody's going to put up their hand and make a bid, yeah? 16,000. Thank you very much. Who gives me 20? Then let's see. Before we give me 20,000. You're not going to get painting yet. 20,000. I have 20. Who will go 25? I see you at the back. Who's going to give me 30,000 rand? 30,000 rand. Nabila is right. There's no price on the akhirah. 30 grand. I say to you, I just envy your trips to Dubai and skiing, etc. I'm not asking you to cancel it. Have an awesome time, man. But maybe just give me 30 grand for the painting, please. It's not just, do I have 30? Thank you, sir. 35. I have 35. Who gives you 40? Sir, 40? The bids with the gentleman behind you, the guy, you who took the first. Do I have 50? Hassan, 45. Where am I at, Hassan? I'm at 35. Is that the bid and I want 40 or where am I? Who gives me 40,000? Well, I'm actually 40,000, sir? The bid's with you, yeah, but you're at 35, yeah? All right, so now I'm looking for 40. Come on, man. I want to give this side a painting. Come on, guys. 40 grand. Ma'am, you don't have to pay now. Just give me your card. It's okay. You don't mean it. I want to ask you the money right now. 40,000. Where is it? We check. Is there, Hassan, is there 40,000? Is there 20,000? We thank him. But I'm at 35, brother. I'm looking for 40. A friend in the front of the 35, sir? No? Just go 40. Okay, then I'm asking the person who gave me 35. I know you took one for 20 and I'm grateful. Allah reward you. But just give me 40. Improve your own bid. For this little kid Liana, for the whole history of it, that type of thing. Is okay? What's 5,000 between friends, bro? Is okay? 40,000. Give the man a big round of applause. Liana, what did you think? 40,000, man.
Yay!
Magic. And if only you could get the money. Now, anyway, so we were saying I am a... Yeah, let's just finish up one more. Okay, guys, there's one more. The pretty in pink. Nabila, you're going to start off with 16, yeah? No, you're done. Nobody's done. Guys, we need to eat, and obviously, Allah, we can gladly keep you here the whole day, and I'm humbled by your presence, but I have one more painting. This is by Abir, and really all I want to do is, I just want to get a sponsorship. And so if somebody is going to give me 20 grand now, sir, I will give you the painting. You're going to take it? Hussein, is that all right with you? Great stuff. Give him a big round of applause. 20,000 rand. You guys will keep the records. Now, before we go and we're going to eat and enjoy ourselves, please, the pledge lines. Don't let me come around, look into your jar and find a note. There can't be that. You see, like this table. Okay, let's rather say to people, no. There can't be a note in the jar. The note must be with your pledge form, right? In whatever form, Allah. Don't worry about it. So who didn't take one? There's two people, naughty people who weren't here. All right, we'll give it to somebody else. But please, whatever you do, let your jar be empty, and then we know we can sort it out. Do me a favor. We're going to eat. Don't rush off. Look at some of the photographs. There are still some other paintings. Just because of the brevity of time, we're not going to auction it. But if you wanted to buy a piece that is part of our presentation here, speak to one of the organizers and anybody in an armored uniform, and then we can make a plan. And then you take the painting with you completely. Hussein, or can I ask you, Hussein, for some concluding remarks? And we leave it to that with regards to the rest of the program. Sorry, what you saying, Hassan? Okay. Okay, great.
Okay, so sorry about that. We do have Instagram Live coming and people are bidding. We failed to acknowledge them. So we're going to run one more auction. Ashraf, give me a piece to auction. It can be a beer's one. Or this ayah. Beautiful, beautiful. This was done. Ashraf can explain the detail behind that. We'll include our social media viewers and then we go to the meals, inshallah. 16,000 already pledged and this one already, alhamdulillah. Can I hear higher than 16? This is an ayah called Hada min fadli Rabbi. This is by the grace of my Lord. Done in artwork by Ashraf Fulat right here. Designed by him as well. So do I have higher than 16? We've got 16 so far for this one. Can't hear you. 20,000. You got the details though. You got the details. 20,000 I have on social media. Do I have higher than 20,000? I got 20,000 on Instagram. Higher than 20,000. Okay. Let's give 22. So I have those watching on social media on Instagram. We got a bid in house at 22,000. Do I have anything higher than 22,000? Hassan? Hassan squared? 22,000 in house. 25,000 in the house. Social media, Hassan. We got 25 in the house. Can we let it go? Do I have 25? Just give us a few seconds to let the feed come through. 27,000. Alhamdulillah. Allah bless everybody. 30,000. 30,000. Social media, any feedback on there? We got 30,000. Alhamdulillah, bless the donors here. And everyone, and anybody who intends to as well. You can still donate. 32. Alhamdulillah, 32,000. So the left-hand side have already eaten, seems like it, because they got more energy. 32,000, alhamdulillah. Do we have anything higher? 33,000, alhamdulillah. 33? Okay, we're going at 33. Anything on social media, Hassan? Nothing? Okay. $33,000. Jazakallah. Allah bless all those who contributed 33,000. That one is gone. You can still, we have art pieces in the gallery. The ones on the stands, printed, done by refugee children. There's some in front as well. Connect with this one. Allah opened people's hearts in amazing ways. This one standing here of the night sky is at 32,000 rand already starting bid. 32,000 on Instagram, you got 32,000. Ashraf, 32,000 starting this one. 32,000 already. This one. Kids' dreams, and here they draw their dreams. They draw the million stars at night. 32,000. Do I have higher than 32,000? Nowhere? Gone. Shukran so much. This one is gone at 32,000. Allah bless every single one of you. There is still more. You can still make a pledge and be part of sponsoring children. 650 children require your sponsorship for the Amman School of Excellence. I think the meals are being served now. On behalf of the Africa Muslims Agency, we'd like to thank every single one of you. The meals are being served. Please enjoy your meals. We'd like to thank all staff, volunteers for putting this together. We'd like to thank Aussie's Kitchen for always going beyond expectation, for going the extra mile in coming to the assistance and making every event an incredible event. And we're so honored to have people like Aussie's Kitchen that we can rely on to share this as well. I want to thank Salam Media on air, who are broadcast, live streaming this on radio and on their Facebook pages. And every single one of you for coming. The Excellencies in the house today, thank you for joining us today. But I just want to end off and say, Allah bless you all. Remember, this movement, One Child, One Dream, happens throughout the country. We have an event in Durban on the 27th of November, an event in Johannesburg, in Cape Town, 26th November. So please tell your friends, families, and be part of this, and continue to support the Africa Muslims Agency's Amman School of Excellence. Dua.
اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وأصحابه بارك وسلم. اللهم أنت السلام ومنك السلام، تباركت ربنا وتعاليت يا ذا الجلال والإكرام. سمعنا وأطعنا، غفرانك ربنا وإليك المصير. اللهم تقبل صلاتنا وقيامنا وركوعنا وسجودنا ودعاءنا وأعمالنا وتلاوتنا. اللهم أجرنا من النار، اللهم أجرنا من النار، اللهم أجرنا من النار. اللهم أجرنا من كل عمل يقربنا إلى النار. اللهم اعتق رقابهم ورقاب آبائهم من النار. اللهم إنا نسألك الفردوس الأعلى. اللهم جازهم بالحسنات إحسانا وبالسيئات عفوا وغفرانا. اللهم اغفر لهم وارحمهم وسكنهم في الجنة. اللهم اغفر لهم وارحمهم وروحهم في الجنة. اللهم اغفر لهم وارحمهم وادخلهم في الجنة. اللهم لا تحرمنا أجرهم ولا تفتنا بعدهم، واغفر لنا ولهم. اللهم حاسبهم وحاسبنا حسابا يسيرا. اللهم حاسبهم وحاسبنا حسابا يسيرا. اللهم حاسبهم وحاسبنا حسابا يسيرا. اللهم اكفنا بحلالك عن حرامك وأغننا بفضلك عمن سواك، يا رحيم يا رحمن يا رب العالمين. Oh Allah, bless all the donors, Ya Allah. Those that have come out today, those who are watching, those that have contributed to the various causes, Ya Allah. You grant them barakah in their homes, remove the difficulty, Ya Allah. You open the way of sustenance, grant muhabba in their homes. Ya Allah, every orphan child, every child is going through difficulty from whichever part of the world, Ya Allah. You remove the difficulty. Ya Allah, Ya Ummah are responding to the people, Ya Allah, to humanity. This is humanity, this is Islam coming together, Ya Allah. People that you have put in a difficult situation, people that you have blessed with wealth, Ya Allah, people coming together and seeing to each other for your pleasure, Ya Allah. You grant the barakah, you grant the muhabba, and you grant the barakah, and you reward them abundantly, Ya Allah. Reward all the donors who support all the organizations with all the various causes from local to international, Ya Allah. Remove the difficulties from the people that are suffering, Ya Allah. إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وأصحابه بارك وسلم. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين.